Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Song of Laugh and Death, a Game of Thrones review recap series presented by the Laugh and Death podcast. Today we have David.
Hey.
Our expert, Manuel.
What's up?
I'm your host, Fernie. And we also have the new boy himself, Alex.
Hey, what's up?
Today we're going to go over Season 3. Also touch about Season 2, Season 1. We're not going to go further to spoilers beyond the season, so don't worry about that. But we are going to go into spoilers with Season 3 and seasons before this. So, David, take us away.
Awesome. So, Season 3's budget, according to my sources when I did the research, was $50 million, down $20 million from the season prior. I don't know why there was a huge drop or if it wasn't just like accurate data. But the season was basically roughed off the first half of Storm of Swords, which is a book of A Song of Ice and Fire. And the series was adapted. HBO renewed the series for a third season on April 10th of 2012, 9 days after the second season premiered. Season 3 and 4 were supposed to be filmed back-to-back, but the Double D's said it would have been efficient, but yet very difficult to write, having to deal with all that material and in the span of a year as well. And then Game of Thrones became a 3-unit show in Season 3, meaning that there could be 3 directors, 3 separate directors of photography, and 3 set crews, all filming at different locations simultaneously.
Shit.
Yeah, crazy. They all hands on deck for this one. Don't know too much about the budget though. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it makes sense because there's a lot of locations that
they're reusing. And
yeah,
stuff.
So that's cool.
We must have had a lot of assets from the first 2 seasons.
And a lot of yeah, you're right. A lot of asses.
Yeah.
Sure did.
I don't know. I was trying to get into a joke there. I couldn't do it.
But well, I think what's important about Season 3 is like the major event. Season 3 is kind of I guess, when the axe falls on a lot of characters, literally. And it kind of starts really showing what the state of not just Westeros, but Essos, like everything that's going on in the world. It's almost like a year after the comet. So you start, things start coming together. Like certain changes have to happen in order for prophecy to be fulfilled. And yeah, I mean, we can get started. Who was y'all's favorites? Okay, what character really struck you in Season 3? Because each character, even dead or alive now, really made a significant change. Oh, main characters, of course. So, David, who did you really like in Season 3?
Arya.
Okay, so what did we learn about Arya this season?
We know that she has a chip on her shoulder and she has a list of people that she wants to kill. She does have the coin from Jack and Hagar.
She has a coin from Bravos.
From Bravos, the Bravosi coin. But the biggest change that I saw happen in episode 10. Episode 10, where she overhears. She's with the Hound, and she overhears these guys, some of the Frey's men, talking shit about killing her mom and Robb Stark, her brother, and having to stitch the direwolf's head to
Robb's body
and parade it around her. The hardest part was trying to get it. It was so heavy and all that shit. And she just hops off, and I love when she just goes up and you foreshadow where she wants to go and what she wants to do. She pulls up the Bravos coin and offers it to the guy and oops, drops it. And as soon as he leans over to pick it up, she fucking stabs the shit out of him. And you just see that change. She's a calm
she
killer.
Becomes a murderer.
And it was justified. I felt for her, having to hear that about your family and witness it and witness
with all the shit that's happened prior.
Right.
Exactly.
And also she lost Gendry.
Yes.
Because Gendry was kind of her support. I mean, it never kind of leads into romantic anything, but I always felt they were going to be together, and he's gone, and then she gets a new partner, which is the Hound, which everyone loves that connection. And also Arya learns the cold truth about the world, because when she's on her way to the twins, she's a witness to everything. Another dire wolf is killed around her, which is Grey Wind, right? That's what it's called. Yes. Grey Wind's dead. Her mother, like, Arya's fucking over it. She's like, let's kill everybody. And then that's why she decides to go where she needs to go. And one of my favorite characters for the season was Tyrion too, because Tyrion, like, he has to learn how to cope with all the constant changes. Like, he's not hand of the king anymore. He's the master of coin. Littlefinger's gone. He has to try to, and then he's getting married to Sansa. Right? Was that season 3? Yeah,
and
he gets married to Sansa.
In love with Shay.
He's in love with Shay, who's a whore. I fucking hate her.
You hate Shay?
I hate Shay.
Oh, I hate Shay.
I hate her with her moon face.
I like her, but yeah, he has to just get rid of her, because it's more dangerous for her to be there.
Right.
So
and his father threatened to hang her. Like, if he catches her, he's gonna hang her. Him and Varys kind of like are still friends, but Varys has to be careful too, because after Littlefinger finds out who his informant is, like, now Varys feels a little vulnerable now, because before he was so untouchable, the spider. But now if Littlefinger can take out one of his informants, he's kind of like, well, fuck. Like, what do I do next? And then the War of the Five Kings basically ends in this season. Like, there's still wars going on, but not that war. That war kind of ends and it changes, because even that's when Stannis decides to go to the north. Right? It's at the end of season 3, like would they get the vision and the fire?
Yeah, because they use Gendry's blood to do the visions, because he's got the king's blood, because he's a rightful heir for the throne.
He's Robert's bastard boy.
He has king's blood.
Yeah,
he has king's blood, even though he's a bastard.
Yeah,
and that changes Stannis a little bit when he sees the vision of, like, everything we're doing. And Melisandre says the War of the Five Kings means nothing. We need to focus on this.
Yes. And remember, that's a prediction of the 3 deaths. She gets the 3 leeches. So 3 kings must die. And you get one of them, and that's in the book she names each king. Later, when stuff happens, it's like
prophecy.
She's telling Stannis, look, now the 3rd king, now the 2nd king. And that's why it's an important scene, because it happens.
And also you get Davos, right? That's his
Davos. Yep.
You get Davos.
He tries to kill Melisandre.
Yeah, and he also tries to not tries to, but he's telling Stannis, like, why are you working with black magic or this magic, you know? And he's like, wars are won with magic. Wars have been won with magic. So why shouldn't I do it? He's like, whatever needs to be done, he's gonna do it. He wants to do it. He wants to be the heir to the Iron Throne, and he never used magic before. He just used fighting soldiers, just physically, and then at first he was hesitant with Melisandre, and then with Davos, and then with Davos in his ear, like, no, you shouldn't do this. He's like, no, nothing's getting in my path no more.
Yeah, and
like,
he even
I'm gonna do what I have to do.
He even sends like him to like be a prisoner, basically, like for being a traitor.
Yeah.
Because last season he tells Davos, like, when I become king, you're gonna be at my hand of the king. So he trusts him enough to like make him the hand of the king. But now this season, like in the beginning, he's just like, you betrayed me because you don't believe in her magic. So you're gonna be labeled a traitor and put in jail, basically, because of that.
And then he tells him to the effect of like, but I always tell you the truth. Like, Davos is like, how am I a traitor if I'm telling you the truth? So I mean, I love Davos Seaworth. He's like you get the common sense of Westeros. Like, none of this grabs for grandeur or like power. He's just like, look, these are people that need to be treated right and treated fairly. That's it. That's why he loved Stannis in the beginning, because Stannis was like the epitome of like right and wrong. And well, he gets with Melisandre, and that changes.
Yeah. And then speaking of, I guess, people who get the short end of the stick, Jaime, one of them in this season, who gets a horrible fucking a travesty in the Lannister eye as well. His hand gets fucking chopped.
His right hand, his dominant hand.
His fighting
his sword hand, yeah.
Yeah. That's like, that pissed me off for Jaime, and it made me go from like, oh, fuck Jamie to like, damn, dude, I feel for this guy. Like, I really feel for him.
And no one has, well, and later, but I feel like no one feels bad for Theon. Even though, you know, he was a son of a bitch too, but people want him punished because he killed those 2 boys.
I mean,
and betrayed Winterfell.
There was a huge, I'm just putting a pin in it. We're gonna come back to the Jamie losing his hand, but there was a lot of limbs cut off this season.
Yeah,
you have Rob's head, you have Theon's cock,
his sausage,
his pecker, and you have Jamie's hand. Like, those are 3 prominent characters that have like limbs cut off this season, and that's not something that we saw in previous seasons. But yeah. When I don't know, I felt like everything was going well. When Jamie was like talking to Locke, which is the guy who cuts off his hand, he's like, "Take care of Brienne, don't do that." He's like, "You can't kill me because if you do, then the Lannisters are gonna come get you, and I'm supposed to be a trade for peace." And little does he know that the Boltons and Locke's crew are in bed with the Lannisters in the big picture.
Oh, and that's one of the... I don't remember if it's in the show, but in the book, Tywin tells Tyrion, some battles you win with swords and others with quills, like with your pen.
Shit, yeah.
So, and that was exactly what happened because all that treachery led to the Red Wedding. And,
so I guess I'm a little confused now because Boltons and the Freys are kind of like in bed with the Lannisters after... They capture Jamie from with Brienne, but why do they cut his hand off? Like, is it because of his arrogance and like
he's just a dick?
No, that was just
what's his name?
With the beard.
Locke,
that
Locke's
was just him
dick.
because what Jamie was telling him, like, oh well, you know the Lannisters always pay their debts and all this shit, and he's like, you fucking Lannisters, you just like you don't know shit. Like he's like, you just run to your fucking rich father, like you never face your fucking consequence. And at first, yeah, you're right. I thought he was like, oh, he's gonna be okay with Brienne and like whatever, and he just picks him up, like give him a stool, like put him on the stump, right? He puts him on the stump, and that's where he's telling him, he's like, you're just a fucking coward, like you don't like to face responsibility, and he's like, nothing ever happens to you, like you're right, you guys always do pay your fucking debts. And that's the night where he's like, this is the one you're not gonna fucking get out of. And he fucking chops his hand. That's just for him being a fucking dick.
Yeah, he's just a dick.
Because even when he gets back to the keep with Bolton, he's like, what'd you do? Right, he's almost pissed at Locke for doing what he did.
Why did you damage the son of Tywin?
Yeah. He was just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? He wasn't happy about that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even then, I think whatever house Bolton's they're just hard asses. Like they fucking flay people, like skin them alive, basically.
Yep. It's their banner.
And you know, they in the old days, the Starks and like true enemies were the Boltons. The Boltons always wanted to be like the Starks. Like they were like the bitter party of one. Like everyone loves them, we should be loved. So since nobody loves us, we're gonna flay people. Like the Boltons are bitter party of one, like to the max.
And even in season 2 and a little bit of season 3, you kind of see like I think Lord Bolton kind of suggests to Rob, like let us do what we do to get information out of the spy that they capture. He's like, no, we don't do that. Like flaying is outlawed in the North, like because of you guys, basically. Yeah. And he's still like, all right, whatever. Like you do what you need to do.
I love the actor who plays Roose Bolton. I love that character.
I love how they like in season 2. I love how they like introduce him. He's just in the background of Rob's party, like his inner circle, and they're talking about, oh, we're gonna take over this and the thing. And Roose Bolton's just like, I'm like, now that you know who he is, and I rewatched it again, I'm like, that motherfucker.
Shit, I noticed
the whole he's just standing in the background with his arms crossed, just like, okay.
And he knows this whole time that his bastard's crazy. Like he knows. Like Roose Bolton gives no fucks.
He says it too. He's like, Ramsay has his own ways of whatever. He says he has his own ways of like finding out something he needs to know or whatever, and he fucking does. He's twisted as fuck.
Yeah, and this is where you really see the repercussions of Rob marrying Talisa. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Jane Westerly, of Talisa, because that's what gives the Boltons the chance to betray the Starks, because they broke their oath to the Freys. So the Freys want to become the new Tullys, and so do the Boltons, and the only way you can do that is getting in bed with Tywin. Mm-hmm. So this is like the true Game of Thrones going on. So they're like, look, we're gonna betray our lords and take their place. So one becomes the River Lord, and the other one becomes the Warden of the North.
Yeah.
So it's like a new power play.
For now.
And literally the Starks fall. Like the North falls, dude.
This shit was fucking devastating, dude. This season.
So, obviously, us three have seen it before. What was your reaction, man?
Dude.
Episode 9.
Oh my God.
Reigns of Castro.
Yeah, with the whole limbs thing, this fucking season was gory as shit. Like, with the bloodshed and everything. And when that fucking, when that episode happened, was it episode 9?
9. Yes.
9.
When it was episode 9 happened, we were just like, I actually told my girl to pause that episode, and I was like gonna get a snack, right? I'm like, all right, press play, and as I'm walking back, I'm sitting down, and like it's kind of happening where Catelyn is like kind of starting to notice like what's going on.
She
you know
sees
what I mean?
one of the sons go and lock the door.
Yeah. They're like, what the fuck's going on? And then she looks at Bolton,
And he's the calmest person in the room.
Yeah, and she fucking slaps him, and she's fucking.
No, she peels his sleeve and sees armor, and then she slaps him, and she goes, "Rob!"
Yeah. That dude, and I was like, look, and because my girl sometimes not be really paying attention, and she's like, what? And then like you just look over, and one of fucking is it what's that guy's name? The king, Frey, yeah.
Walder Frey.
Yeah,
Walder Frey.
Okay, him. One of his soldiers or whatever just goes and stabs fucking
Talisa.
Rob's. Yeah, Talisa's
That's the
stomach.
first strike.
He
And I'm like,
stabs the baby, dude.
And
Stabs
this
the
is my
baby.
girl. This is my girl. Like everything, the stabbing, she's like, and then it goes to fucking the arrows being shot at Robin in her mouth, and she's just gasping. She's just like, oh my gosh. She looks at me. She's like, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, no. I'm like, this can't fucking happen. I'm just like, I love Ned, and he fucking got beheaded, right? And then I just love the Starks, and this is fucking crazy what's happening. And I was devastated, dude. I was just fucking, our mouths were fucking, what the fuck?
That's the scene that got me into the show. Like, I just saw it like fucking grainy ass, blurry on YouTube because somebody uploaded it, and I was like, what is it? Is it Game of Thrones? And then I see it, I'm like, oh, it's not too bad. And then all this happened. I'm like, oh, holy shit, that was fucking dope. I'm like,
let him go. And she has his wife.
He's like, I can get another.
I'll get another. Yeah, I'll get another.
But the way he says it, like, that's bien pendeja.
Yeah,
like, I can get another. Like,
and it was so funny to me because the actor that plays Walder Frey, he plays like that custodian dude from Harry Potter
with the cats.
So he's just
isn't he the librarian?
No,
he's the custodian. He is, right? Oh,
yeah,
man.
and I don't know if he has powers or not in Harry Potter, but he's just always like grumpy, like
yeah.
And the way he runs.
So seeing him the contrast of characters that he plays, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is fucking funny. But this guy's a fucking like maniacal bitch in this show, which is like, I like it. So.
Like them slitting Kat's throat was. I wouldn't say it's overkill at all, but like it's almost just like, fuck. Like they really wanted to put the fucking like hammer on the nail, like you know what I mean.
And you know
just
why?
In the coffin.
Because she's the daughter of Hoster Tully. He was the Lord of Walder Frey. So it's like, fuck you, your daughter's dead, motherfucker.
And she's dead, and he's dead.
Yeah,
her father
dead too.
just passed away at the beginning of the season.
And then her brother is the prisoner. He married a Frey, but he's in the prison of the twins.
Shit.
So the Tullys have fallen, and the Starks fell.
Edmure
Tully. And I love Rob's line, "Mother." That's for me the best. Like when he has the quills in his chest, "Mother."
And then she screams. You said
Rob.
Yeah, and then they slit her throat. She's just like,
by the new gods and the old. Oh yeah.
She just falls over, and
she had to take a break after that scene. Like after it was filmed, she had to like go and sit down and relax because it was all emotion.
Facts of Thrones right there.
She's one of my favorite actors in the whole series. Like the way she acts is fantastic.
There's a lot of actors in the series where I haven't seen them in anything else, but just the way that they act in this series is like, yeah, they're fucking great. Like
the guy who plays Jamie, I can't pronounce his name, Nicola.
Was
he in Lost?
Waldu.
He wasn't Lost.
No, he.
No, that's the other guy.
This is his first acting gig as Jamie Lannister.
Really?
Yeah, first ever acting thing.
I think he did a movie in like Norway or Denmark. In Denmark.
Dude, I thought he was. For some reason, he looks just like the guy from Lost.
But the guy from Lost looks a little more like jockey.
Yeah.
But they look alike.
They do look alike.
He's Prince Charming in Shrek 2. He's Prince
He
Charming.
looks like Prince Charlie. It's just-
I know. I love that picture. They compare
yeah,
him.
side by like seriously
Facts
with
of
the
the
whole
numbers.
hair. Like,
Facts of Shrek.
yeah, but another thing that got me is like everybody's dead inside the thing, and then they pan out, and Arya's sitting outside, hearing everything going on, and then you just see like the phrase walk over to the pen where the direwolf's at, and I'm like, don't fucking do that. And then they fucking yeah, take it out.
You're
You
Yeah.
hear you see the eyes, and it's just dying. And I'm like, oh man, that crushed me. And then fast forward to the next episode where, which is episode 10, where they start off the episode and it's Arya. It's like right after episode 9. Arya sees. They bring out a horse with Rob's body and his direwolf's head.
North,
stitched
King of the North. They keep chanting
on his head, and oh my god, that was like if that wasn't a punch in the gut or a stab in the gut from the last episode, them starting off with that just totally took.
What's more fucked up too is that like when she's going to the party or whatever to go finally meet her family and shit.
She was that fucking close.
She was that close, and she hears them like, "Oh, north." And she's like smiling. She's like, "Oh, like
Celebration.
It's my people.
celebration." Yeah, and it's far beyond from that.
And it doesn't really. I don't think it goes too deep in the show, but in the book, it's mentioned a lot how drunk they all are. Like they get them fucking drunk. Like the Freys don't drink so much. They get the Starks and the Tullys super drunk, and that's why they were able to slaughter them.
But the Blackfish got away.
Yeah, dude. And remember, this is like 10,000 troops that are killed. Like 10,000 people are
because it's
slaughtered.
It's not just the people in the castle or
right. It's
Where-
the
it's
camps
where-
outside.
yeah, it's
Where are
camps
they?
outside.
Because Tywin says he's like, when Tyrion and Tywin talk about like, oh, so you got rid of Robb Stark and you didn't even have to fight him in battle, and he's like, better to kill a dozen at dinner than 10,000 on the field.
Because he killed the leaders.
Exactly. So did they actually wipe out the entire Stark army?
Yes.
After
Well,
that,
the army that went with him to the wedding, because the rest of the Northmen ran north.
I thought the Boltons
Yeah.
got the Northmen.
Well, yeah. Well, the Boltons were not in that group. Like they didn't get slaughtered. The Starks, the Stark troops under Robb did. Of course, there was small groups that escaped north, and then they joined the Karstarks, and the Karstarks did their own shit. But like a few groups escaped, but the main chunk of the army with Robb was destroyed, completely slaughtered.
And like what you said there with Tywin telling Tyrion like sometimes you win battles by killing dozens or whatever. He kind of did this also in season 2 where Robb was winning all these battles. And he refused after a while to fight him in the field. So Robb was just chasing Tywin like from place to place, and then that kind of Tywin kind of knew that would force Robb to make decisions that were hard for him, and it kind of turned the Boltons and the Karstarks away from Robb because Catelyn letting Jaime go
Right.
formed a rift between the Karstarks and
Well, the
Robb.
beheading of the Karstark is what
Well,
caused
that's
them to.
what I'm saying. Like that started the beheading kind of solidified that because the Karstark wanted revenge for Jaime killing his son, and he couldn't get the revenge because they needed Jaime alive, and then when Jaime's still alive, Catelyn let him go. So he's like, why aren't we going after him? Why aren't we killing? And then he kills the Lannisters in season 2, the Lannister boys, and then that's when Robb's pride forced them to kill Karstark instead of letting it go.
Or just
And
imprisoning
it's
him.
so complicated because like if you think about it from Catelyn's perspective, like if she keeps Jaime alive, there could be revolt. They could kill Jaime, and she doesn't get her kids back, and the war's for nothing. Or she lets them kill him, and it's a double-edged sword. Like she had to make the hard decision.
And I think that's what Tywin was kind of implying this season and last season also, like that he's just letting them fight from within. Like he knows how he's losing out in the field, so he's letting it like time out because they're slowly gonna run out of food, and men are gonna get anxious because it's the winter and they have to get home and protect their families.
Right.
So he knew in the long run that it was better for him not to fight him. So, and it kind of solidifies it the season where he's able to form alliances with people within Robb Stark's ranks.
And actually, when Tywin stopped, like the hot war, we'll say, was when Robb married.
Yeah,
that's when he was kind of like, oh, I know what to do now.
I can find a rift in
yes.
this
because
situation.
Tywin is the master of the rift making. You know what I mean? He'll find the crack in the armor and exploit it, and that's why I love Tywin Lannister. He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
he plays the Game of Thrones perfectly.
Because remember, he had to play it with the Targaryen, with the Mad King. Like he had to kind of
like stepping carefully,
dude. He had to fix a lot of his issues. Like if he would fuck up, there would go Tywin in to fix it. If he offended one great house, Tywin would go in and fix it. So Tywin knows like the characteristics of a Northman compared to a Southerner, to a Dornishman. Like he kind of knows how to speak to each one,
and you kind of see Tywin's like prowess in deal making and like solidifying when he tells Tyrion, like, you have to marry Sansa in order for us to get the North. Cersei, you have to marry Loras to form a when was it Cersei and Loras or
Loras? Yeah.
And Joffrey's gonna marry Marjorie to solidify our houses with Tas Tyrell, which is like number one house and number two house at this point, right?
And plus to kill the rumors of her and Jaime having the kids. That was one of the main... Well, in the books, Tywin's very adamant about that. It's like, we have to kill this rumor. Because if somehow people believe that Joffrey is you and Jaime's son, we lose all credibility and the whole country will turn against us. Like, you have to get married and get pregnant. So, and then later we find out something about Cersei when she was told as a little girl about her getting pregnant again. But
so yeah, and he has these like ways of making sure that houses are united the way that he wants them to be, because Cersei and Tyrion kind of protest, and he's like, there's nothing to talk about, you're my children, you're gonna do as I say, and he has that heavy hand in the family.
What did he say? What did Tyrion tell him? You sent the most powerful man home to bed without dinner. He's like, do you think he's the most powerful man in the world?
That was a total G moment for me.
Yes,
I was like, oh, fucking Tywin, I love you. Because he basically humbles Joffrey without saying anything. Mm-hmm. He's like, I think he needs a nap. Yeah. You do not need a nap. He's like, I am the king.
Yeah, is that where he said? Yes, where he
Any
says.
man who
like,
says I am the king is not a king.
Yeah. He's like, do you think? What is it? Do you think a crown brings true power, or being a king brings you true power? Dude, yeah, Tywin is a fucking man.
And I love how he likes when he talks to Tyrion. When he dismisses everybody, he stands over him, and you just see him in his fucking slick leather like garb, and he's just over him telling like, you ain't shit. You need to get Sansa pregnant so we can take over the North, and doesn't even give him an opportunity to take either Casterly Rock as a lord or Winterfell. He's willing to wait the 18 years so that a Lannister can take over the North. Yeah. And
do you understand why Tywin hates Tyrion? Like, did you get it from the show why he's such a dick to him? Like, does anybody have an idea?
I thought it was because his wife died and he holds it against him.
Bingo. The only recorded time in history Tywin Lannister smiled was when he married his wife. He loved her to pieces. Like, it was his joy. And then not only did his son kill her through birth, but it was like a deformed son. So he's like, fuck this midget.
The monster.
Like, why did you kill your mother and my wife? Like how could you?
To give birth to like a unhuman
exactly.
thing.
A flawed son.
Yeah, because Tyrion asked Tywin for Casterly Rock, which is their like what Winterfell is to the Starks, right? Yes. Like, it's like their home, and because Jaime can't take any lands anymore. Nope. or titles, and so Tyrion is next in line, and Cersei is a woman, so she can't. And I like how he's just like, nah, you're not gonna get shit. Like, you're worth shit to me.
He despises him that much that he's not even willing to give him any help to rule. Yeah. So sad. Really quickly, before we go to Essos and talk about Dany's story, Theon and Ramsay, the duo, that's another duo that I absolutely love. I love the way Ramsey played with Theon.
Playing with me too. Like I was like, oh, he's gonna help Theon.
Yeah, like,
oh, he's gonna help Theon. That's so awesome. Like
he's captured. He frees him and says, "I got you, my lord. I'll help you." And then he's sick. They let
he opens up to him and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got sent this way and I wasn't accepted, and then I came back and they don't want me anymore. And he makes fun of him during his fucking torture.
And he just he brings him back, and then he's like, "Get him!" And they get him and they strap him. He's like, "No!" Like he's totally fucking with his humanity and
Poor
his
guy.
No, he deserves it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in torture like that. I just would have killed him.
He's getting tortured, and then like the guys leave, and like he's still rung up, and then like he's just like in the background like mopping. He's like, and then once the guards leave, he's like, "Hey, your sister sent me. We're gonna escape tonight." And he kind of like undoes his bounds, and so he kind of trusts him with that. Like that was a perfect like opening for him to be like, all right, I'm gonna gain your trust by making it seem like I'm just a low person here that's gonna here to rescue you.
That's a lot of
layers of like deception.
A lot of layers of torment.
Does he gets cut in this season, right?
Yes, that it's So he even has 2 whores come out and like they play with his pride. That's his favorite thing is his dick. And they said, "Oh, it's rather." We heard it was impressive, and he's like trying to realize like what's going on because he's been blindfolded or whatever. And then once he's actually
erect,
Ramsey comes in with his little knife.
That is so. Imagine how painful that is.
And takes his pride. So a little facts of Thrones for you. Theon's manhood was taken from him with a blade that was specifically designed for this purpose by weapons master Tom Dunn, based on historical knives that were made for that job.
Oh yeah, a gelding knife.
It's a little hook and it's got a little sharp blade. My god! And I love the fact that like this psychopath was supposed to play Jon Snow. When they were originally auditioning
the
for
actor
the show.
that plays Ramsay Bolton?
Yeah, Ramsay Bolton was supposed to be Jon Snow, and then they decided to cast differently.
I was gonna say, like, I don't give a fuck, Ramsay. Like, you grow your hair, they put a wig on you, you're not... Because Ned is a good-looking man, like, older man, and then Rob is a good-looking dude, Jon Snow is a good-looking dude. They're all, like, decent-looking people. Ramsay's
Then you have Gollum. He looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, he's not bad looking, dude. He's
got
a little stupid haircut.
He doesn't have because Jon Snow looks like Jon Snow from the book, like Jon Snow from the show, like the dark eyes, the dark hair, the solemn face, the goth kid. Ramsay doesn't. Ramsay has that. He has a different look. Like he wouldn't fit as Jon Snow.
See, I said that I haven't seen any of the actors in any other shows, but Ramsay Bolton's the actor that plays him, I don't know his name, but he was in this Hulu show called Misfits, and in that show he's just like a shy like guy, like real like to himself, real lonely, and like he talks real low, and like he's like the innocent one in the show, and he's just like a completely different character to what Ramsay Bolton is, like a fucking sadistic bitch.
Isn't it him and what's her name?
I don't think it's
the guy Tyrell. No, what's his name? Jon Snow's best friend, the fat guy.
Samuel Tarly.
Samuel Tarly's girlfriend. Isn't she in Misfits also? I think so.
I don't remember her, but he's like completely different character, and I think later on in that show, and like later on in the series, he becomes like kind of becomes like a superhero, and he's like ripped, and like when he's the most confident person in that show, he looks fucking dope. Like I can see why
with the facial hair and everything.
Yeah,
he's got like a light beard.
Yeah, I can see why they would cast him as Jon. Like you can't see it now because of the way he's made to look like crazy and like pale and just like ha ha ha. But in that show, I can see the drift. I'm trying to get a picture of it to send to you so you can put it up.
Yeah, I will. There was I like the way they play around when they ship Theon's dick to his dad, and his sister Yara opens the box and she's like, "Fuck," and then they show
the notes like, "I sent you Theon's favorite toy."
Yeah,
and it's on his skin. right? Is the note on? Well, in the book it is. The note's on his skin.
That's a cool thing.
Because in the book, see, this is why I feel bad. He's all laughing at his skin
because his dad's fucking holding his son's fucking skin, basically.
Because in the
to
book,
read it.
This is why I feel bad for Theon. Because in the book, he loses like 3 of his fingers on one hand, 2 on another. He's missing like toes on one foot. Chunks of his thigh is like flayed. His back, like he is fucked up. Like he has to. He looks like an old. When they're done with him, he looks old, like an 80-year-old man. Like his sister doesn't recognize him. Nobody does. Like poor guy.
So then season 3 was also where they ship him. They shipped that then.
Yes.
And that's where I was
at the end, right?
Yeah.
This is where it left a weird taste in my mouth where
Hey.
his sister was like, "That's my brother. I'm gonna go back for him." And
He's
like,
no man anymore.
yeah, like I sided more with his dad and then his sister. Like that whole scene was cheesy. Where she's, "I'm gonna get the fastest ship in the fleet. I'm gonna go over there with the strongest men," and like the whole music's playing. It's all like revenge, and I'm gonna avenge you, and all this shit. Like, and it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was
like,
crappy
from the jump. Like, you didn't even give a fuck. Y'all were all like, no. And his dad is still keeping to his perspective on it of like he's nothing. He's not anything to me anymore. But his sister's like, no, I'm gonna go do it for us. He's family.
And that's when in the books she's like a badass because she's actually fighting off Bolton men. Like she has her little army of like Ironborn, and she's like fighting in the dark under the night, and then like the Boltons come out of the blue and the Karstarks. So there's like a badass fight. Like she's a kick-ass character in the book. She like throws like little axes and knives and stuff. Like she's awesome. And in the show, she's kind of like, yeah, I'll go get him.
Yeah, like that kind of pissed me off.
Where's my motorcycle?
And it kind of falls flat when like the reason why he's captured is because his men, like are the one that give him up in the first place.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's like if a Stark would have been like, we're gonna go rescue you, and like, okay, yeah, I know these men will do anything to serve the family, but it's just fucking Ironborn that don't give a fuck about anything but themselves.
Yeah, so he's no man anymore to his. So they pretty much just write him off like he can't inherit any or do anything.
How funny would it be if they put like his dick around his neck like they did Jaime's hand?
So quick facts of Thrones before we go to Essos. A lot of time was put into creating Theon's torture chamber. The pain-inflicting tools included a retractable needle and a torture boot, which was meant to screw into Theon's foot. Prop master Gordon Fitzgerald used 2 different size screws to protect the actor's foot while making it look like it was going into his foot. The team coordinated with the special effects crew to make sure that blood came out from the top once they were done screwing. Fucked up. And going forward, we're not going to call him Theon. His name is Reek. Yes. All right.
What's your name,
dude? And in the book, he always has to rhyme it. Reek. It rhymes with squeak. Like he's fucked up that he'll be in the corner. Like they have him sleeping in a corner worse than the dogs. Like the dogs live better than Theon or Reek. And when they call him like, Reek, what you doing? Reek, it rhymes with sleep. Like he just everything is like, he's like Hodor for a little while. Like he has to like just rhyme shit with his name. It's great.
Reek. Yeah. So he's Reek from now on.
Yeah,
Reek.
Awesome. So we go over to Essos.
Yes.
And Dany has sailed to, where are we in now?
Well, she was in Karth, right? So she was gonna go back to Pentos with Illyrio Mopatis. But then she's like, no, Jorah's like, why are you going to go back? If you're going to go back to Pentos, you need your own army. So you should go to Astapor. Go get the Unsullied because they're the baddest mofos in the world. And she's like, you know what? You're right. Good old bear. Because in the book, she calls him her old bear. So they go to Astapor. And that's where it gets... That's one of my favorite parts in the book and in the show is because Astapor is like... the fading glory of, say, like Persia and Egypt. It's like the city has an elegance, but it's just decrepit. It's old. It's not as populated, and it's overflowing. When she gets there, she's there looking for an army, obviously, and she needs to do whatever she can to get one. But everyone, there was this whole like racial argument with the book readers. A lot of like, say, Middle Eastern readers that read the book would get upset because they felt that Essos was always portrayed as backwards.
With the slaves and all that stuff.
But in this scene, it's the opposite. The Osasi see the Westerosi as like fucking barbarians. They're like, you don't even bathe, motherfuckers. Like, we really put perfume. Like, look at us. So the whole time when she's bartering with the slave master, the guy doesn't know she knows Valerian.
Yeah.
So when he's speaking to what's her name?
Masandi?
He's like telling her in Valerian, like, tell that Westerosi slut.
She's watching it down.
Yeah.
Serena, she's
Yes.
watching it down.
It's like, tell that weeping whore that I would gladly stick my dick in her pussy and then let her take on solid, you know. So it's
The
just
master says that we would like to do a trade.
yeah, and you have beautiful hair.
Your hair is nice.
Tell her I will lick honey off her nipples so she can lick honey off my nipples. So like
We can talk tonight.
yeah, exactly.
He says he likes sweets. So if you want to bring him sweets later, that'll be fine.
So I loved just the word the unsullied, like this.
The Unsullied.
This whole thing of like these were slaves.
Well, do you know how they're made?
They killed aren't some of them killed in front of their mothers, or how is it?
No. Do you know? Okay, so it's a group of boys, and they're boys. They're like 7 years old. They're taken, right? Then they're cut. Root and stem. The pecker and the balls. Then they're given a puppy. So they raise the puppy. Yay! Feed it scraps because they're in pain. And with every meal they're giving a drink called the wine of courage, which is kind of like a weird heroin mix that numbs pain. No. They drink this for the rest of their life. So the Unsullied become like immune to pain. So when they grow older, when they get a few years older, they have to prove. I'm jumping. Their first like step of proving they're worthy of Unsullied is they have to strangle a puppy. So the puppy they're raising, their only love and joy, they have to strangle it. If they can kill the dog, they move to the next level. If they can't, those boys are put to death and fed to the dogs that were killed. Once they strangle the dog, then they go through their training vigorously. Like they're drinking the wine of courage. They don't feel pain. These motherfuckers are like the best fighters. They can climb mountains in full gear, run 10 miles. I don't know, all this shit. No fear. And they're like the best specimens of men with little testosterone. Then they're given a silver mark. They have to go to the slave market and buy an infant and kill the infant in front of its mother.
Okay, that's what they said.
And if they do that, they get their cap and spear and everything. And that's why Daenerys flips the fuck out. She's like, you have to do all this to make a soldier. And Barristan Selmy's against that. He's like, why are you going to bring slaves to Westeros? It's going to disprove everything that you're fighting against. And then she comes up with her plan on how to like get her cake and eat it too.
And besides that, I think he said like nobody's gonna follow you with a foreign army.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But then that's why I love Jorah Mormont. He's like, dude. He tells her basically like, hey, but your great ancestor did that. He came to Westeros with dragons and armies, and he conquered it. So do the same thing. And Jorah Mormont and Barristan Selmy have like that opposite effect with each other. Because Barristan Selmy is like, he's so stuck with his honor and what's right, and Jorah Mormont's kind of like, look, that shit goes out the door, man. Like when the poor people are hungry, they're hungry. They don't give a fuck what the king gets. So you need to start thinking like that. You need to do what's right to get the throne and to take back your legacy.
That's where he's like they're both there. They're both like following behind Daenerys and Barristan Mormont. He was a part of the Kingsguard, but Joffrey is the one who.
No, Barristan Selmy.
Barristan Selmy. Okay, Joffrey relieved him, right?
Yes,
and
it's like you're old. Get out.
He was mad about it, so that's where they find him out there with.
Yes.
In that area when they're getting the Unsullied, and he's already giving his life to Daenerys, and like, oh, she's the rightful heir, or she's the whatever, the queen, you know. And Sir Jorah, he's just like, oh, it's easy. It seems so easy and fit for you to just like give yourself your honor to every other king that comes into play that helps you for the better. And he's just like, how are you? You've been with us 2 days. He's like, and you're already saying that you're this fucking honorable like guy for our Khaleesi.
he's painting the kettle black. Like
Yeah.
he's the same motherfucker. Not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you read the books, you fall in love with Barristan Selmy later. Like, he is fantastic, but I hated him. Like when he first joins the group, because like he pulls a little bitch tactic later with Jorah, like, and Daenerys. But
And doesn't he like also served Daenerys' dad, and that's why he comes.
Yes.
That's why he comes to her and is like, I served your dad. Like,
and he was alive when her granddad was king. So Barristan Selmy does. If anybody, he has a connection with the Targaryens. Like, he really does. He has his own reasons for believing what's right or wrong or right. Not his own reasons, but he sticks to that code, so he'll use it against you. Like, you're a motherfucker, you need to go. And he'll prove why.
Can't remember what the group that Dario came from is called, but we do get introduced to a character named Dario Naharis. Pretty boy. Came out, my wife saw it, and she was like, he's hot. I'm like, he's got this like weird features to him.
He's the dude from Deadpool. The villain from Deadpool.
Yeah, he's the villain from Deadpool.
that's where I remember him from.
I think he was better than the next actor they get. I like him much better than the next actor.
Now that the connection is there, yeah, I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird.
He has a
Because Dario Naharis is supposed to be like a badass, like cool, like I get all the bitches I want type of dude. And I think the guy who played him fits that. In the first act.
So this character was in season 3. He was in episodes 7, 8, and 9, or 8, 9, and 10. By Daenerys' side. He was recasted in season 4, and he's played by a different character. That's why a lot of people have issues with the series, because they go from this guy who's like clean cut, long hair, like
Athletic,
smoldering looks,
Blue eye, like really foggy eyes, and then like the nice chin, the long hair, the long hair.
Oh, and plus he is Lysini, like from that one of the free cities, I believe Dario Naharis is. So he's supposed to be like light haired and all that. And then the new guy,
they recast him, and he's got like, he looks like he
he's
belongs
supposed to
in
have
a rom-com.
He's supposed to have like blue beard, like they dyed their hair.
Got facial hair, still has his badass dagger.
With his naked ladies on it.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about how, because we talk about the Unsullied and Dany. I just want to talk about how she got the Unsullied. She kind of she purchases the Unsullied from what's his guy, the
Monoclus.
and like you said, like I like how he was just talking shit about her, and like Missandei was just like translating, and then it kind of turns where like he gives her the whip that controls the Unsullied.
Well, we could talk about that. She mentions the dragon.
Yeah,
Right.
Because they're doing a trade for the whip for one of her dragons. So he gives her the whip. She gives him the dragon on a chain. The dragon's flying up in the air, and he's trying to control it, and he can't. And then she kind of like betrays him.
Well, that's just the reveal. She starts speaking in Valyrian.
Yeah. He's fucking holding the dragon like he's
what the fuck is going on?
Come down. Yeah, he doesn't listen.
And then she gives the word again, Dracarys, and the dragon just burns the fucking guy alive, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on?
I like when she yells Unsullied in Valyrian, Dovageti! And they all stand to attention. I'm like, that is
And then
awesome.
even Ser Jorah and Barristan, they're also like,
What the
they didn't
fuck?
even know that ulterior motive of what she was planning.
That was dumb. She should have told him. That was fucking shit. But I understand it's supposed to be a reveal and stuff like that.
Hey, but Jorah was like, thumbs up. It's like, that's right, bitch, burn him.
And then I like the whole like, if you want to fight for me, if you want to serve me, you're free men now, basically. If you want to serve with me, you can. Like I want you to be in my army because you want to. And at this point, like they don't know who her character is, but she tells them like, go raid the city, kill all the masters, leave the the women and boys alone, and they do that. Like they take the city.
And I feel it's not stressed in the show, but this is when she becomes a conqueror. Like Daenerys Targaryen starts conquering as parts of Essos. Like that's the moment. Like she is a badass warrior queen. Like with dragons. You know what I mean? It's like hey, and then she uses guile to take the slaver cities. So Slaver's Bay. It's made up of 3 cities, which is Astapor, Marine, and Yunkai. And she takes each one and
Dario helps her
nothing.
get the Yunkai.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes me by surprise when she gives him the dragon. Like when they're doing the trade, I was like, why the fuck is she giving away her dragons?
And her most powerful too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they're trade with.
And I was like, what the fuck what's going on? Like really? And then she just kind of like has him burned. I'm like, okay, that makes more sense.
And what's fitting is because she starts conquering with Drogon when it was later revealed in a recent book that he is probably a descendant of Baelor
the Dread.
that one. Baelor the Dread, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like the cycles back, like Aegon the Conqueror returns, but it's Daenerys. And then you start thinking about the comet, so it's like the bleeding star, and then coming from the desert, then the others are coming. So that's why for me, this book and season is so great. It's my favorite, one of my favorites.
One of my favorites.
Because that's when you see prophecy starting to turn, like everything's starting to come together. And then you have the great team up, which is when Bran and Sam, they cross paths right in this season. With the dragon glass, remember? They're all like, this is how you kill a White Walker. And that's think about it. Like they all did superhero shit. They fucking what 2 families were basically slaughtered. Daenerys becomes like a conqueror. Samuel Tarly kills a legendary creature. What else? I know there's some other big shit that happens. He loses Pecker. What's his name? Theon. Reek. But it's funny, like major events happen in this book. And then the next 2 books are really one giant book. So, but that's like 2,000 pages, so they had to make it into 2 books. But it was really one huge book. And so much happens in the next 2 books.
Going back real quick to her getting the Unsullied, an awesome scene to me was when they're leaving the city and she has the whip and she just drops it.
Yes.
And like it's like
And it has the harpy on it.
Yeah, and they're just walking with
She
the
tells
Unsullied.
she tells him like, you all are free now. You are free to go, or you can stay by my side, and nobody moves.
Yeah, nobody moves.
Yeah. And then when later on she kind of has them like choose a leader basically, and that's when Grey Worm is introduced. And I like when
One of my favorite characters.
I like when she tells them like your name was Grey Worm, like because she finds out that their names are given of like the lowest of low things, and she tells them like if you want to choose a different name you can. If you want to go by the name you were given at birth, you can. Like you don't have to go by Grey Worm anymore. And he's like, no, my last name was cursed because I was captured. This name is
Because I was freed with it.
Yeah. And I was just like, damn, like that's the level of power that she has or she commands, and just of power of hope, because they have no hope.
Misa.
I didn't like that Misa shit. I hated
Is that
that.
still season 3?
Yeah, right. Yeah, at the end.
That
It's like the last scene,
that's
right?
supposed to
Where they're all like, Misa, and Jesus there. I didn't like it. Pizza. Have you seen the memes with pizza? It's like pizza, and it's a pizza. No, but I just found it weird. It was too Messiah weird. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like that whole Misa part. Like I like the fact that she's the mother, like she's the breaker of chains, all that cool shit. I just didn't like the scene. Like she's up there being.
Could have been done better.
Yeah, it felt kind of
Did it for
corny.
visual.
Yeah, it felt a little. I don't know. It just.
Are we good with Daenerys? Are we good with North Korea?
Real quick, just touching on Grey Worm again. He is
You can touch my Grey Worm.
hey, he's an R&B artist from the UK, and he's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, like he's like a rap R&B hip hop artist, and
He collabed with Hodor.
I think so.
Dude, Brave of Thrones.
No, but he's really really good. So if you guys want to check out, I don't know his name, but yeah, he's
And you know
Pretty
the
cool.
Unsullied aren't supposed to be buff, right? They're supposed to be like very smooth because they don't have testosterone. They're very like
Taylor
like-
Swift.
like large boys.
Like Taylor Swift.
Kind of, yeah, large boys.
I don't know. Taylor Swift has a nice last leg, so I don't think they're gonna be like that. Shake them thick thighs.
All right, so now we're gonna move north of the wall. We talked a little bit about it last episode, or last podcast when we were talking about the whole like Egret and Jon Snow thing.
The best relationship ever.
Fuck that! I hated it. I still hate it. I don't feel it. I did feel it at
Touch
the
my
very
cooch.
end where she like pulls the arrow on him and she starts hitting it with it. And she's teary eyed, and I'm like, okay, now I believe it. But the whole like. What
You know,
I hate it.
you know why you don't like it? You know why you don't like it? Because you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Oh, she says that's like the other line.
All of us.
I'm just a bowling. I don't know.
Is that, what's that building? It's a castle?
That was funny.
It's just a window.
Fucking backwater, ice licking, redheaded slut.
Yeah,
doesn't know
it's a
better.
cat. It's so fucking funny to me. I'm like, you dumb bitch. Hated it. Hated it. Loved the whole warging thing that they brought in.
What was the scene where? Weren't there some wildlings in Bran? Something like that, right?
Yes, that's in they're in the tower and it's like raining.
Right,
That's
yeah.
when Jon Snow escapes.
That's yeah, and that's where he gets into Hodor's head.
That's the first time that Bran
To
wargs
calm
into-
him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because the storm, and he's just like, hold the storm, hold stop, and he gets into his head to calm him, and then that's when he also gets into the wolf.
He gets into Summer, I think.
Summer.
Yeah,
In Summer's head, and he sees Jon Snow, and he sees them like about to kill. His name is Old Man in the show. They're about to kill the old man, and Jon Snow has his blade to his thing, and then he can't do it. And Egret puts an arrow through his chest, and I love that him and the rat-faced ward bastard guy, Wildling, they duel, and he brings him close, and he's like, "You're right the entire time." Kills it, and then the fucking guy wargs, and then he brings the fucking hog down.
Oh, I know.
And bites Jon Snow's face. That was awesome. That was like the best part of the whole like being north of the wall.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that was always slow. I like it once John's back. Then I love it. Yeah, it gets great. It gets great. Was Snow was with him the whole time, right?
Yes. No. He was around
On this side.
in the north. Yeah, because I know what's it called. Sam sees him just in passing when he was in the north.
Yeah.
So Snow's out there, and then, like you said, like in the book, like Jon Snow loses his warging power when he goes past the wall. He
Right.
can't warg into ghosts, so it would make sense that
That's in the book?
he's just out
In the
and
book,
about.
yeah, like and I forget when it happens, but there's a part where John's on one side and Snow's on the other, and they can't communicate because the wall's magic.
And they feel a connection.
And that's the other direwolf, right?
That's Jon Snow's dad.
Yeah.
Gives him the last name, also Snow. Snow.
Right,
Snow.
his name's Snow, right?
Snow.
Yeah. Okay.
A ghost.
Ghost. Wait.
That's why I was like,
Ghost. I'm like,
I was like, I know you're talking about the direwolf, but I was like, is that no? I think it's a ghost.
I'm sorry. I should know that.
He's our expert, guys.
I know.
Ghost. That's a cool name.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll just really pass through it really quickly. I hated the whole Craster storyline. It was like 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
It was so much bullshit. He treated him like crap. They went hungry. They turned on him. They killed Mormont in the exchange, and it fucking sucked. I hate it.
The one thing that I liked about that whole scene of when they're turning on each other and stuff like that, there's one guy that's just like leaning against the wall, and he's just like watching everybody fight each other. He's just chilling. I don't know if you guys noticed that in the background.
No.
He's just there like leaning against the wall, like not even like moving. He's just like, all right, this is happening. This is cool. It's like that meme of the dog where the house is on fire. It's like, this is fine.
So yeah, that happens. We just breeze through it because it was.
And that allows we didn't talk about it last episode, and it's my fault. We missed this the whole Gilly and Sam plot of Gilly wants Sam to help rescue her son because Craster kind of gives him up to something in the woods, all the sons that are born. So Gilly asks Sam to help her with that, and that gives them the opening they need to escape with her son, and they're riding towards the wall, and that's something mention.
Yeah, and also that had to happen to show how effective Dragon Glass was. Like that was their lead, you know what I mean? And then to arm the kids with Dragon Glass.
So now we know as a fact from the show lore that fire kills whites, which are like the zombie people that come back when you die north of the wall, and Dragon Glass kills White Walkers, which are the guys who like looked at like they're made of ice. So those are some very like critical things that we need to know going forward for the war to come. All right. So character deaths for season 3, we had Craster, the guy who was killing all of his sons, sleeping with his daughters. We had Jorah Mormont, which is Jorah Mormont's father. He was the leader of the Night's
Lord
Watch.
Commander.
Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. We had Noctis. Yeah,
he's
that's
the slave, the slave owner,
who owned
the White
Sully.
Master.
Okay.
We had William Lannister and Martin Lannister, which these are the two boys that the Karstarks kill to get their revenge against the Lannisters. And fun fact, Martin Lannister is actually played by the same character who plays Tommen Lannister.
Older Tommen.
Later on in the series. Actually, his name isn't... They called him a Lannister. Oh, so it's not Tommen Lannister, it's Tommen Baratheon.
Tom Baratheon.
Yeah, my bad. Richard Karstark dies because he betrays Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Ross, which was Littlefinger's assistant, dies. Sam kills a White Walker. So
Yep.
that was a big death.
Yeah. And from Sam. I mean,
Yeah, but, and I forgot to mention it last episode, but the ending of season 2, the White Walker sees Sam kind of cowering it behind a rock, and he just ignores him because he's
He
like
screeches at him.
Yeah, because they're out gathering like fuel, and they hear the horn, and it's like, okay, so one horn is okay, 2 horns is fucking wildlings, and then they hear the 3rd horn, they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
just run, because that's the White Walkers. And Sam being Sam, he can't run as fast as the other guys, and the blizzard comes in, and he's just hiding behind the rock. And I like how the White Walker just like looks at him. And
Which I didn't get it, man. Like, I thought that was like, I understand like somebody needs to be there to witness it, but does that happen in the books?
In the books, it kind of blacks out. Like it kind of blacks out, and then you see the result of the White Walker. So that scene exactly doesn't happen.
Yeah, because like a white would have killed him like that.
yeah.
Or a White Walker.
I think they made it seem like he wasn't even worth the time. So when he kills the White Walker in this season, it's kind of like, holy shit! Like he has something going for him here, like with the Dragon Glass, because he finds it. He's just like, oh, this is cool. Like he doesn't know what it is. Like they find all the weapons. Like, oh, this is cool, made of
because they find it in the north, the cache of weapons
at the Fist of the First Men.
Right.
We also had Orell, which is the warg for the wildlings.
Yeah.
Talisa Stark, Robb Stark, and Catelyn Stark. And we also lost Grey Wind. Which is...
And Catelyn's thrown into a river. After she's dead, they just throw her in a river.
Okay, so we're going to spoil the book right here. What happens to Catelyn's body?
Much and more. Okay, so what happens is the Brotherhood Without Banners they're like scouting the area around the twins. And Baron Dondarrion, remember he's been resurrected many times by Thoros of Myr. When he sees Catelyn's body, something overcomes him. He looks and he's like, I must give her the kiss of life. So he bends down and he kisses Catelyn Stark and he falls dead. She opens her eyes and she's resurrected. When she talks, her throat is cut so deep she has to hold her hand. She's like, she talks kind of like a crazy old lady. But she takes... since she's resurrected, any form of caring and compassion is gone. She becomes Lady Stoneheart, and she's after the Freys and the Lannisters. And she systematically starts killing every single one.
Because remember...
And she was cut from the show.
They don't bring it back.
This is in the book.
Yeah,
This is
only
just
in the
in the
book.
book.
Wow, dude.
No, dude, people were like begging for her to come back. 1, because they love the actress, and 2, because the character's so fucking cool. Like... Dude, she has an army of people hiding in a forest.
And like Beric Dondarrion says, he's like, every time I die, I lose a little bit of myself.
Yeah.
And she died hardcore, so she lost all of herself.
Yeah, and plus he passed on like all his different resurrections to her. So like he already had all the negatives, and then he just added it to hers. Like, there you go, bitch, you're awake. Because it wasn't like Thoros resurrected her. He couldn't. She was dead too long, but he could pass on his.
Mm-hmm.
And she's seen like her mouth, like her throat and mouth are wrapped, and she wears like a hood, and
She's a walking zombie.
yeah, she's a walking zombie.
Shit, that's fucking
With
awesome.
the only purpose is just getting her enemies, which is dope as fuck.
Was Brienne still feel loyalty to her in the book?
And Lady Stoneheart feels like she betrayed her because she sees her with a sword, a certain Lannister sword.
Yep.
So she's like, sword or rope.
And then that's where Brienne's story ends. Or
Well, at the books.
cliffhanger in the books.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, badasses of season 3. We have Tywin Lannister
Yep.
again, total G. Roose Bolton, Ramsay Snow, my favorite new character. Robb Stark was slapping Tywin's armies around, winning all the battles. Grey Worm, love that character. Jorah Mormont and Dario, because Dario does go in there single-handedly and
Bran, because he's able to start warging and get
Sam?
into. And Sam, yeah, but because he's just kind of
okay, so Sam, just because this is the only time he ever gets action, so I'll add him to that list.
Hey, he killed what could not be killed.
yeah.
I want to add a character. She's not really a badass in like the fighter type of way, but Marjorie, the way that she plays Joffrey this season, because Joffrey had nothing in common with Sansa, because Sansa the way that she is, like, they're just incompatible. But Marjorie kind of like formed herself to be what Joffrey wants, because she kind of like knew that without doing that, Joffrey would just torment her. And when she comes into the room and he's like, "Oh, is that a new crossbow? Like, that's cool." And it's like, he's like, "Yeah."
And he gets intrigued. Like,
It is.
He's
cool.
young. He's way younger than her, though, right?
Yeah.
She's.
In the books, they're about the same age.
Oh.
And like how you mentioned that Marjorie just knows how to play the game. Like, she's playing him pretty well.
And she also teaches Joffrey, like, hey, the people can love you, man. Like,
Yeah.
she's good. Like, Marjorie knows he's a monster, so she's like, I have to kind of mold him so he's not so cruel.
And not push him
Over the edge.
She's just slowly just like giving him some and then taking some from him, like, to make him better.
And Cersei's a cunt.
yeah, like when she goes to the orphanage and shows like the kids, like she gets a toy for every child and lets them know, like, your fathers, now that they're orphans, died to save King's Landing, and that's all very noble of them. And like that just made me feel good. And like they also show a lot about her character. Like, she's in a beautiful gown, and a lady dumps a bucket of shit out of her window, and she just walks through it like no big deal. I'll get another gown, no big deal. And it just shows how good of a person she is, and also how she needs to win the people over in order for her to be safe later. And she even like grabs Joffrey's arm and says, while he's giving her the tour of the King's Landing, and like says like, "Oh, let's go say hi to the people."
In
like,
the Sept of Baelor.
They love you at the Sept of Baelor. So, they have to win people over. And he's like, okay. And she sees her wave, and he looks at her like, what the fuck is she doing?
I don't know if you saw.
He lives in fear.
I don't know if you noticed in that scene where they both come out and they just keep shouting like her name, like Lady Marjorie, like, and then it's not until like Joffrey like picks up his hand and waves where they're like, also King Joffrey, long live the king, and like, you know, they acknowledge him after he acknowledges them.
Yep.
Yes. Very good takeaway for you.
Thanks.
Very cool,
Thanks.
very cool.
I tried.
Yeah, that's all I got for badasses for season 3. Did anybody want to add a last one?
I guess just the Hound with "fuck the king."
Oh yeah, the Hound. I fucking love that.
What else did he say? He says,
Yeah, I didn't have the
"Fuck
Hound.
the king" and "fuck something else."
That
The
was
Queen.
was it
That's season 2.
season 2 when they're at the wall? I mean, like they're at the battle
Blackwater.
at the Blackwater, and
but he says it again though when he's in that.
He's about to send
Oh.
Arya out, and it's like, why are you doing this? He's like, what about the king and queen? What are they gonna think? I love how, like, a real quick tangent is when Arya kills the guy for talking shit about her family and about her mom and her brother. That he's like, he's like, "Where'd you get the knife from?" She's like, "From you."
Yeah.
And he takes it, he's like, "Next time you decide to kill somebody, tell me."
Yeah.
I was like, he doesn't like say, "Don't kill people." He's like, "Just be careful."
Yeah.
Like, no,
Right.
and I fucking love that about
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Like that's
why
one of my
I
favorite.
guess I'm just saying, him, the Hound, is a badass because now he's just like, he just realized he's in this other mind state now. He's like, fuck the king. Like, I'm doing shit for myself.
Yep.
All
Oh,
right.
that's badass.
That'll wrap up our episode of A Song of Laugh and Death, presented by the Laugh and Death podcast. I just like saying
I love
presented
that,
by that.
yeah,
Yeah. We had David. We had our expert Manuel,
8.
your host Fernie, and also
Oh, shit.
Alex here. What's up?
The North remembers.
I don't. Anyways,
Misa.
Misa.
Pizza.
remember to, like the North, remember to leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions, have any corrections, have any theories of what's going on in the show. We always want to hear your feedback. Also, remember to follow us on Instagram at Laugh and Death Podcast or Laugh and Death, Twitter at Laugh and Death Podcast. And yeah, we'll see
And
you
on
next time.
and YouTube, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and
Right here.
hit the bell right here.
Dang.
My lord.
I could do that.
Oh, great.
My lord.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.